We want to turn now to Chris Krebs. He was the director of the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency in the Trump administration and is now a CBS News cybersecurity expert and analyst. Good morning to you.
Morning, Margaret.
I want to start on some of the other news from Microsoft within the past days, which is that they, alongside U.S. intelligence, revealed the discovery of malware from a state-sponsored Chinese actor embedded in U.S. critical infrastructure that was meant to shut down communications between the U.S. and Asia in the event of a conflict. It sounds a lot like planning for a potential invasion of Taiwan to a lot of analysts. How significant a breach was this?
Well, I think it's significant in the fact that it's an escalation or evolution of Chinese capabilities. I think it's no surprise that China is in the cyber offensive operations game. 10 years ago, Mandiant, a cybersecurity company, released a report called APT1 that talked about their espionage capabilities. That same year, there's evidence that they were in U.S. gas and oil systems and stealing network schematics. So from a pure cyber play perspective, China is quite capable. Even this year, Director Wray of the FBI said that the Chinese have 50 hackers to every one FBI agent. So they are quite capable. But to your point, what's different about this report is it shows operational preparation of the battlefield. It shows that they are getting in place that if tensions continue to escalate with Taiwan, they are in a position to cut off lines of communication, logistics, and the ability of the United States to support and defend Taiwan.
Yeah, this was in Guam, which is there's a U.S. military installation there in the Pacific that would be very key in the event that you just laid out there. But broadly speaking, how vulnerable is U.S. infrastructure to these kind of attacks?
Well, I mean, I think just as Brad Smith pointed out in the previous segment, is that we are using technology in virtually every aspect of our lives, from day to day to operational capabilities and critical infrastructure. So we are highly dependent upon technologies, and we don't always implement them in the proper way. And there are vulnerabilities and there are misconfigurations that we've seen bad guys, from criminals to state actors, take advantage of. But I think we have seen an improvement in resilience. And I think the Ukrainians' performance in the face of a Russian cyber onslaught last year shows that you can be resilient, you can prepare, given the right information and the right time and investments to secure and harden and improve systems.
Microsoft's proposing an entirely new branch government agency be set up to regulate AI. Do you think we're at that point?
I called for the creation of a digital agency last year in a keynote I gave at the Black Hat conference in Las Vegas. I think we are well past the time that the U.S. government needs to rethink how it engages and creates market interventions on technology, cyber, disinformation, and beyond. And AI is probably that kind of forcing function that'll push us there. And there is precedent for reshaping government to meet emerging risks. 1939, the Federal Reorganization Act, the government was reorganized. 2001, in the wake of 9/11, we reorganized. I think we're on the cusp of that, and I think the issue is that government is not keeping pace with technological development and the harms that we're seeing in society.
Well, the Biden administration is looking to restrict the sale of certain technologies, export controls, to adversaries like China, for example. But the CEO of some of these companies, they don't like it. NVIDIA, which is an AI chip maker, they've pushed back, saying Chinese will just build their own chips. What do you think of this solution of trying to export control?
Well, China is a significant market for many American companies, whether it's on Wall Street or technology and chip companies. I think the current policy to restrict the more mature and advanced chips to the Chinese market, I think it's a smart policy decision. I think it maintains European and American geopolitical competitive posture. I think we need to think, though, how does this apply in an AI model perspective? And I think that's in part what Brad was getting at with his policy agenda. And that is going to take quite some time from a legal and regulatory framework to really scope these things out and figure out at what points of the economy do we make those interventions.
Right. So not a quick timeline to turn that around. What do you think? I mean,
Not at all.
hearing a tech giant asked to be regulated is unusual, to say the least. What are we to make of that?
Well, if you kind of sit back and look at it, the tech industry is one of the least directly regulated. There are secondary regulations that come in through the New York State Department of Financial Services, for instance, and other California laws. But I think when you see this sort of push for regulation, in part it says that they're concerned, they're worried, but they're also looking for, I think, a little bit of protection. And I think if you step back and look at kind of the range of risks that you may encounter across AI, there are very mundane risks that do not require additional regulation. And Brad talked about that. And that's, criminals using AI to build the better mousetrap. It's students using AI to cheat. But as you get further up the kind of the risk hierarchy, there is disinformation. There's autonomous weapons systems that will have AI built in. And then you kind of get to that point of, as Elon Musk has talked about, that super intelligence turning into the Terminator. There are areas, particularly, I think, on the models, not necessarily implementations in the apps, but the actual learning large language models that are driving a lot of the innovation right now. That's an opportunity to look at licensing. And in part, I think what they're trying to achieve is some indemnification that, hey, we're playing by the rules. You've put in place guardrails. You've reviewed our models. And if it's abused by someone else outside of our control, then that's not on us.
Protect themselves as well. Chris Krebs, always good to get your analysis. We'll be back in a moment.